I own 2 paid-off houses, built my financial security from nothing, and my fiancé's response to a prenup was to call me greedy and tell our families I'm using money to control him. Let me tell you exactly how this unraveled. I'm 32. I worked hard, made smart decisions, and built something real for myself. 2 houses, both paid off, both fully mine. One I bought 5 years ago before we ever met. One I inherited 2 years ago. These aren't investments to me. They are my security, my foundation, the thing I built when I had nothing but my own determination. 3 years ago, I met him. 2 years ago, he moved in with me, rent-free. He covered groceries sometimes, split some utilities occasionally. That was the arrangement. I didn't push for more because I loved him, because I believed in us, because I thought we were building towards something real. 8 months ago, he proposed. I said yes. Then we started talking about wedding logistics, and everything changed. The first thing he said was that his name needed to be on my house deeds. His exact words, "It's not fair that I live here and contribute but have no ownership. If we're equal partners, we should be equal on paper." I want to pause on that for a second. The man who has lived rent-free in my home for 2 years, the home I bought before he existed in my life, told me that equity I built alone, before he arrived, was somehow unfair to him. I stayed calm. I offered a prenup that would keep the houses as separate property. I offered a completely reasonable path forward. I also said that if he wanted to establish himself as a financial contributor to the home, I was open to discussing fair market rent. That's when he told me asking for rent made him feel like a tenant, not a husband. Then came the rest of it. He has 2 kids from a previous marriage. Private school, expensive private school. He's been paying for it, and he told me plainly. After marriage, he expected me to help cover those costs, to treat them like my own children financially. He also mentioned, almost casually, that he's carrying around $40,000 in personal debt from a failed business. No prenup. Debt I didn't know the full extent of. An expectation that I'd absorb his children's school fees. And a demand for his name on property I built before he was part of my life. I told him I wasn't comfortable merging finances or assets under these conditions. I asked him to move out. I told him the engagement was over unless he agreed to a prenup. He went straight to our families and told them I was cold, that I was using money to control him. My own mother called me and said I was being too harsh, that I should work it out. Work what out exactly? Here's what I found out after I made my decision. In the 3 years we were together, he never did housework. Never. I managed the entire house myself while he lived in it for free. When we visited his country and stayed at his place, he charged me Airbnb rates. Full price, no hesitation. But the moment I suggested fair contribution to the home we shared together, I became the villain. He has his own assets in Europe. He has income. He simply chose not to apply any of it to our shared life, while quietly waiting for a marriage that would give him access to mine and a green card. I know how that sounds. I know it sounds harsh and cynical and like I'm painting the worst possible picture, but I looked at the full timeline and I couldn't unsee it. He never pushed for marriage until now. The moment marriage became real, the requests started. Deeds, financial merging, school fees, no prenup. I am not signing over the security I built alone to someone who has been treating this relationship like a transaction from the beginning while accusing me of doing exactly that. I asked him to leave. He's gone by end of week. The engagement is off. And for the first time in months, I can breathe again. Comment smart if protecting assets you built before the relationship is just basic sense. Comment run if the green card detail alone was enough to close this chapter.